Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 313. That's for the week of June 12th, 2017. My name's Ryan Higgins, and we got a full table here of all your favorite superstar podcasters here on a nice Monday night. We're recording a day early because of E3. So if you're a Geekbox fan, don't worry. Geekbox is going up Tuesday night. We're going to talk all about Nintendo and, I don't know, those other video game companies that nobody cares about. Again, my name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week? Let's start at the furthest end of the table, all the way down the side.
Ladies and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us at the Comics Conspiracy. This is Bryce Larsen, fresh off of seeing a great Marvel movie. Who else is here?
And that's all of us.
What?
Ryan and Bryce. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Record shattering. First time.
And we're not actually recording a Man of Steel commentary. Okay, so I'll tell you this.
I wish we were.
If Man of Steel 2 ever happens, we'll record a Man of Steel commentary.
That is a lie. You are. What are you even doing? Why would you even say that?
I don't know.
That's just
maybe one day we'll do it. Yeah, Bryce, thank you for coming out. Monday's under a normal day. Charlie's stuck at work. Toby's caring about the Warriors because he's a fake basketball fan. Oh, he's going to be mad at me for that. No, he's actually a legitimate huge fan.
Well, he also doesn't listen, so you could just say
No,
that.
he'll totally listen to this. He'll be texting
really?
me 5 minutes after I put the episode up. He's like, fuck you, Ryan, fuck you.
Toby, I'm going to watch it right now so that I'm just like you.
Brock got kid stuff to deal with, so yeah, just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
So we're gonna talk about some comic book stuff.
Some comic books. How exciting! It feels like it's been so many episodes that this podcast hasn't talked about comic books.
It happens occasionally.
You guys did it a little bit at the end of last week.
Yeah, we have random picks back too, so we get to do that at the end of the episode.
So I better get prepared with my random pick.
If you want to pick. Bryce, you saw Wonder Woman.
I did.
Now, do we want to wait a little bit and do that later in the episode, or do you want to just get it out of the way now? Full spoilers? Should we put it in the back half? It's your call.
You know what?
Do you want to get the DC stuff out of the way? It's a lot of DC stuff today.
Oh, is there really?
Nah, there's some Marvel stuff too.
I'm a big fan of the behind, so if you want to move it to the back half,
Let's do that.
Always amenable to that.
All right, let's push.
I don't care.
Let's push Wonder Woman back a little bit. Yeah, we'll do Wonder Woman right before the questions, and no spoilers in case you haven't seen it yet.
Let's back that movie up.
Okay, let's talk about something.
What's so funny?
Let's talk about something real sad here, though.
Oh, Jesus! You're gonna go there from there?
I mean, you got to start.
I just made a hilarious joke.
You got to start somewhere, and you might as well start at the end. There are many people in comics that have had a huge influence on the industry. And sometimes they come from outside the actual comic book industry, especially in the modern day. I would say Robert Downey Jr. has as much to do with the success of the sales of many Marvel comics as a lot of the creators do in a lot of cases. But before Robert Downey Jr., before all these guys, the big man on campus was Adam West, the original Batman back in the 60s. Adam West, Batman TV show. And unfortunately, Adam West this past weekend passed away. I don't know about anyone else, but seemingly, I mean, he was 88, I believe, 88 years old. Pretty unexpected. But yeah, he just, it seemed like it was pretty quick. I never heard anyone talking about him being sick or anything. When you get to that age, it's unfortunately a little more likely that your time is limited. But Adam West, how to say this? If you listen to Kevin Smith's podcast, he talked Fat Man on Batman. I don't think he does it anymore. I haven't seen a new episode up in a long time, and I didn't listen to the entire show, but I did listen to many of the early episodes. And he talked about Adam West a lot. And when that show, when the Tim Burton Batman movies came out, and in the 80s and 90s, the Adam West Batman show was seen as like this black stain on the industry. Just this,
really?
Oh yeah, and unlike comics, just this thing that everyone hated. And I kind of remember this. I was a kid, and I watched the cartoon. Or I watched not the cartoon. I watched the show when I was younger.
It's a good cartoon.
but yeah. But when you get a little bit older, you're like, oh, this silly dumb thing.
Right.
I think it took people a while to kind of come back around and realize just how genius that show really is.
What? Wait. What?
People hated for many, many decades. So you have the hype of the 60s Batman show when it came out, right?
No, I'm not disputing the fact that it was like well-loved subsequently to its coming out. I'm just saying that, like, what do you mean how genius it really was? Why does it have to have been genius?
I mean, it was
without being able to just appreciate it for what it was, which was maybe possibly not genius, but still awesome.
Well, it was very unique. It wasn't trying to take itself too seriously. It was very campy,
Correct.
which people understood at the time. The great thing about that show is it attracted both the younger audience and the older audience for two very different reasons. It completely opened up the world of comic books to people who were probably unaware of these things since the 30s and 40s, right? So 20 years, 25 years had passed since comics were like quite as big as they had before. The Batman thing rocketed sales for all the Batman titles and merchandise. Why it's genius is that it's been difficult for comics to reach an all ages market in the modern day. You have you can't really have the movies aimed at 3-year-old kids and 30-year-old adults at the same time.
Wow.
There's a lot of comics and TV shows and movies that do have a very wide age range.
Okay.
But the Batman TV show, whether they meant to or not, was accessible to everyone of every age. The adults kind of got a very different take on it than the kids. If you were a kid,
right.
Again, I was nowhere near born when this came out, but I saw it when I was a kid in reruns. And I could appreciate it for a completely different reason. As an adult, I appreciate it for its just wacky aesthetics, and it's just over the top camp, and it's a much smarter TV show than I think it got credit for many years. But in the modern day, in the last 15 years, 10 years especially, and now that it's been available again as reruns on Blu-ray, streaming, I think the show has refound an audience that can appreciate it for what it was, not on a technical level, because it didn't have the
chutzpah.
It didn't have the money. Obviously, you're talking the 60s, right? This wasn't a big live action movie of the time. This was a very cheaply made small budget TV show, think like Star Trek. But again, Star Trek, same thing, right around the same time. It accomplished much more than it was. It became a bigger phenomenon than just a show on television. Right?
So I agree with most of what you just said, with the very big exception of that the show was genius. In my opinion, I was also a kid when I watched it, and having watched it as a grown ass man with a very, very sophisticated sense of humor, I would say that the show is not genius at all. However much I liked it, I would say that the people found a niche market, and they knew the kind of show that they wanted to make, and that they knew what they could get away with and what they couldn't. And
that's part of the reason I think it's so successful. Had they tried to make a straight show, it wouldn't have worked.
Exactly. So I agree with that. I'm just saying that maybe you and I disagree with what genius is then. So fair play. Yeah, it was tremendously successful. I loved it as a kid, and I'm sure, and as an adult, I appreciate it for very different reasons. I don't think that qualifies it as genius, but I do have to say that they did an incredible job of sort of capturing lightning in a bottle in terms of getting that niche market, at the time that they had, with no competition. Because competition, I mean, we'll talk about this in the Wonder Woman talk later, but not just Wonder Woman, but a ton of other things. No competition is a huge factor, and they didn't have anything that was even remotely like it. That doesn't make it, in my opinion, genius at all, but, it certainly helped propel it to a much higher level than it might have gotten if there had been a bunch of copycats.
Okay. Well, genius or not, I think we all appreciate the show.
We do all appreciate it
as adults as well.
It was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, it
got me even an extra real life RPG status, if that's a real thing, which it is now. Thank you. Extra level bump into the nerd culture was because of that show. I was real life Batman. Like, even as a kid, you knew that it was just the most campy crap. But it was so funny and so enjoyable that it was like, all right.
Well, I think for a lot of kids, they didn't know. I mean, this was, especially, again, much before my time, but the stories of everyone, especially shared over this weekend, that did grow up on this show when it was out, and then myself and other people our age that grew up on it in reruns. I mean, I don't know that I knew it. I mean, when you're like 8 years old or 6 years old, you don't know what camp is. And this is the Kevin Smith thing.
Yeah.
By the time you're 12, 13, and you're used to the Dark Knight Batman and the Tim Burton stuff in the 80s and 90s, I mean, the 60s show looks like garbage. But I think we've come so far from all of it that audiences can appreciate it because it, like I said, it went through many decades of being like hated by comic fans.
That is so crazy.
So it's funny to see the industry flip back around on it.
And it might just be a generational thing where now the industry is largely our generation, and so we're all accepting of it, whereas the generation that hated it, doesn't give a fuck enough to...
They're all older now.
To weigh in.
Yeah. And for us, it was this weird thing that existed when our parents were alive. It was not our thing, right?
So that's, I guess, more my point is that I didn't get the sense when I was watching it, I never took it too seriously. It was always awesome that Batman was like in real life, but it was always like a joke, even though I never got like the jokes.
Right.
Like watching it now as an adult, it's like it's hilarious in a totally different way because you know that they're just playing all these lines with straight faces, and you're just oh my god,
lots of sexual overtones that
tons of sexual overtones
you just don't understand as a kid.
I had absolutely no idea. In fact, a lot of them I still don't get because I'm just a very innocent, virginal young man. No, but anyway, rest in peace. Obviously,
very sad.
Very sad. Always when that happens.
Yeah. There's only a couple of those, Linda Carter's kind of the last, right? Because Christopher Reeves passed away, obviously, a number of years back. Linda Carter's the last of the older DC actors, that really did make that kind of that early days push into live action.
Yeah. I still love the OG Captain America film. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, the one they filmed in the one they filmed in Italy or whatever.
I don't know where they filmed it, but
Is he on a motorcycle or is he fighting like Red Skull on like a little car?
I could not tell you.
I haven't seen it years and years ago.
For me, I think that it was possibly decades.
Yeah. Yes. No, multiple decades ago I watched it. I remember so little about him.
Yeah.
But
I remember loving it. I'm sure that it was awful, but
I saw the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie when I was a kid.
Yeah. Classic material.
Saw the Nick Fury live
action.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Punisher, Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
I was thinking David Hasselhoff, Nick
Fury. I saw that. Yeah. I saw the Generation X made-for-TV movie.
I did not see that one.
Awful.
I believe that.
I never watched the Roger Corman FF start to finish. I watched
Neither did I.
Maybe half of it, and was just like, I can't take this.
What am I doing with my life? You said after loving a DC movie.
But then I saw 3 other pretty bad FF movies after that. So I don't know.
Well, TBD if it's possible. It is literally unproven if it's possible to do a good FF movie.
Yeah. What's funny is, and a lot of people made this joke, and I may have even made the same joke when...
you probably did.
When we saw it, but...
It's probably awful.
The Roger Corman FF is the most accurate Fantastic Four movie we've had to date. It is the most accurate to the comics. Yeah.
What was wrong with... So I don't think that I've seen that one, and if I have, I certainly don't remember it. What was wrong with the first one, even though it was terrible... Okay, not counting Doctor Doom, because that's an obvious...
But that's what I mean. The Doctor Doom and the Roger Corman movie
But with regards to just the first family...
Yeah. The origin's totally different, and they're up in, like, that space station. It
didn't happen when they were going into space?
No. They're like some weird space station. There was, like, some experiment. I have
a serious case of revisionist history going on, or revisionist memory, which is, served me well for most of my life.
Yeah, the Corman costumes and origin and powers were... the most accurate, just not good, but they were accurate, if nothing else.
Interesting. Did not know that.
We're going to move on to some more Batman topic here. Oh, Bryce. Oh. You told me before the podcast, you haven't caught up on comics. You're a little behind. Did we
I am behind.
Talk about
I'm
Batman?
embarrassed at how far behind I am. We went to Hawaii for 10 days. As you do, brush shoulders off. And so that wasn't meant as a humble brag. That was actually meant, even though I guess it kind of
to explain why you're so far
to explain
behind.
why I'm so far behind. So I came back and I'm catching up on all these podcasts and on work and on Hearthstone. I made it to rank 2 last month. But then went to Hawaii and didn't play for 10 days, which is going to hurt your chances on such a time sink as Hearthstone. But I was on such a good clip, and then, I don't know, my kids are nightmares. Like, I love them more than anything in the world. But fucking hell, kids are tough.
Well, can I talk about Batman 24? We don't want to talk about it last week. We don't want to spoil anything.
Please spoil it away. So, I hate spoilers for, like, movies and stuff, but spoilers for comics, it's kind of like... With these trash websites like CBR, like
my god, it's been so bad recently.
I could click on the most innocuous link that like a trusted friend sends me, and it'll like incidentally or intentionally send me to some hyperlink by CBR that just spoils the biggest thing. Like what's the
right in the
I don't want to do any Wonder Woman spoilers in case people don't want spoilers,
sure.
And they skipped the last episode. But anyway.
Yeah, no, it's awful. It's awful.
Keep going.
So
I don't mind comic spoilers.
Batman 24. We didn't talk about it last week. We talked about Wonder Woman, but now it's all.
You didn't talk much about it.
No, we didn't talk about it at all. But we do.
24 is tomorrow.
Last week.
Got it.
It was the big issue from last week that caught a lot of people off guard. Already got.
I know.
Print.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to keep going. But now I actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah, caught a lot of people off guard, but definitely figure something we should talk about here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so if you're somehow still not spoiled on this, congratulations and stop listening. But Batman, in what some people think is kind of out of the blue, but if you've read the Tom King arc, and especially if you read the Button crossover, it's actually not as out of...
No, Rooftops especially.
Yeah.
Not the Button.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
This actually has been kind of coming for a while. Batman... proposed to Catwoman. Bruce Wayne proposed to Selina Kyle. I mean, either way, I'm not sure if it's Batman or Bruce Wayne or Catwoman or Selina Kyle.
So I haven't read it yet. Have you read it?
I have, yeah.
Was he in costume or not?
He takes his mask off? Does he take his mask off at the end? I think he takes his mask off. Oh, I see. We sold out. I don't have it in front of me. I can't look.
I was going to say it's not on the wall.
Yeah, no, we sold out. I want to say he takes his mask off. Now I'm going to have to go back and look at it.
But it should be in my box.
It should be, yeah. You can go grab it if you want. But for those that haven't read Batman or wonder why this kind of comes out of nowhere, or why I feel like this doesn't come out of nowhere. Right. There was an issue, a two-parter? One-parter? Was it just one shot?
Which one? Rooftops?
Yeah, where him and Catwoman. Yeah, two-parter.
Yeah.
There was all this stuff with Catwoman in the I Am Suicide
They do a lot of banging.
Arc.
Yeah. What they do?
Where the I Am Bane stuff in the I Am Suicide Squad arc, where Catwoman was going to be sent away for all these murders she confessed to, but hey, it turned out she didn't actually do it. She was trying to cover for someone.
Which is ridiculous, but whatever.
I mean, it worked within.
It worked within the story. Yes. But yeah.
The Rooftops issue that Bryce was talking about. It's a two-parter where him and Catwoman just go and just fight every minor criminal the night before she's going to get locked up, before she's released and doesn't actually end up getting put in jail for life. And especially...
Wait. That's slightly different than what happens.
Well, that's like their last... She's like, she wants to run away or escape, or it's like their last night, but Batman says, no, if you did this, you have to go. And
yeah.
I'm just trying to very, very briefly...
I'm sorry. Yes, you're... Okay. You're wrong, but keep going.
Okay. In the Button crossover...
No, she escapes, dude. She fucking escapes.
Yeah, but then you find out that it's not... Like, he's like, no, you're coming... Like, you're going to go to jail. But then she gets cleared for it, so it doesn't... I mean, escape or not, it doesn't matter.
Am I misremembering it? She runs away. She jumps off the roof. He can't catch her. They have sex. They have... intercourse.
They fight Kite Man, and they fight
a ton of like
the D-list villains. Condiment King.
Batman's enemies are so good. And, they fight a bunch of like E or G list villains. Like
Tom King talks about Kite Man on Twitter all the time. It's the greatest thing. He's like his favorite character.
Tom King is the greatest thing.
Oh, he's amazing.
So they have relations, and they know each other in the biblical sense. And then in the morning, he's got his little morning glory going on, and she's like, "Peace out, brah," and she's already in her costume. Meanwhile, he's really excited because he's like, "Oh, little in your costume action," and she's like, "Peace out," and she jumps off the side of the roof, and he can't catch her because it's hard to get in that spandex when you got wood.
But then at the end, in the next arc, that's where they find out that she didn't do it, and
was it the next arc? I thought it was in Rooftops that she confided that she didn't do it.
Yeah. Like I said, the specifics doesn't matter here.
It does not matter.
I want to get to the button part, because in that, if you remember, when he goes to the Flashpoint world and his dad is talking to him, when Thomas Wayne, the Batman from Flashpoint, is talking to him, he's like, you can give up. You don't have to be Batman. You can have a life. You can have a family. In the very end of that issue, the light turns on, the bat signal turns on at the very end of the crossover. And the last time you see Batman, Alfred's like, are you going to get that? Are you going to go? And he just stands there at the window and looks at the light and doesn't go, right? This is a long-term story that King has been playing from the very first issue of Batman. The whole opening
first issue of Batman. He's been writing it for like 5 issues.
24 issues? And it's like four major story arcs. And
wait. Tom King?
Yeah. Since issue number 1. It's issue number 24 just came out. So it's a year.
How old am I?
I mean, it's been going on for a year,
what?
But it's because it's double shipped, so 24 issues. In that very first issue of Batman, the Batman Rebirth one, where the plane is gonna crash, and he's like telling Alfred, like, fuck, I've lived a great life, but I'm gonna go out and this whole thing with Gotham and Gotham Girl.
Gotham and Gotham Girl.
Yeah.
That was an awesome arc. Everything he's written has been awesome.
It's like every arc is better than the previous. It's ridiculous. It's so...
Is that true? That it might actually be true.
I think every arc has been better than the past.
I might actually, heavens forbid, agree.
War of Jokes and Riddles starts next week, which is the Joker Riddler.
So is the Brave and the Mold, was that just a 2-issue thing?
Just 1 issue.
Oh.
And that's probably the best issue to date.
Did that cross over with any Swamp Thing issues? Does that even exist?
No, Swamp Thing is not out right now. Yeah, no. It's just a one-shot issue.
The Brave and the Mold is a one-shot story?
Yeah. It's like 9 chapters. Yeah, 20 pages. It's ridiculous.
Wait, 9 chapters and 20 stories?
Yeah, 20 pages?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's like 7 or 9 chapters. It's crazy.
That's bullshit.
No, it's awesome. It's just the layout of it's great.
Oh, I can't
It's written like a Christopher Priest comic. It's incredible.
Can't wait.
But yeah, this whole arc from that first issue of Batman has been, can Batman quit? Can he finally give up? Can he move on?
No.
Of course I don't think it'll happen.
That's bullshit.
But that is this path that he's been on.
You don't think what'll happen?
I mean, long term, obviously.
The marriage or him quitting Batman?
I mean, him quitting Batman. Long term, clearly, he will be Batman forever. It's not good. But King's arc, I could see him quitting for a while. We had, during the Morrison run...
No, you're wrong.
We had Nightwing and Damian take over. Again, that was near a decade ago at this point. That was so long ago.
They built up Damian and Dick, because who doesn't love Dick? So much more to be able to inherit the mantle. Mm-hmm. He hasn't given... I guess he did a little at the beginning of I Am Bane. But he hasn't given any of the secondary characters, like... anytime.
Right.
I mean, like the whole first arc with Gotham and Gotham Girl.
You're totally right. But
I see what you're saying. I just disagree. I don't think that he will have him stop being Batman. I don't even think that's necessarily what you're saying.
The whole arc from Batman's point of view, from the button, was his dad saying, you don't have to do this. You can stop. You've done enough. So we'll see. And
I just think that's what I think is bullshit. I think that there's been 1,000 times he's been told that by trusted advisors.
Sure, of course.
Not the least of which is some dad that he's not even sure is his dad, even though, sure, it's like some alternate reality dad. How is that not more trusted than, Wonder Woman or fucking, I don't even know who else has told him myriad times over the years.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know why it's any more true in Tom King's Batman, but I do acknowledge Tom King has been doing a fucking awesome job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I got one more DC thing to talk about here for the comics, and then we'll get on to some. I'll talk a little Marvel. And we got some TV movie stuff to talk about here.
By the way, before you go on, first podcast possibly ever where Marvel gets a 50% representation in terms of host.
Okay. I wanted you to talk about the X-Men stuff because I've been caught up on all of them. But
you're
my fault.
That is my fault.
But I'm caught up and you're behind.
I'm actually behind on all my DC reading as well as my Marvel reading, just because of no good excuse. Insert here. Anyway.
Well, the last thing I want to say about DC is this week on Wednesday, Dark Days is coming out. It's one of 2 one-shots that are launching Batman Metal. And there's been a lot of confusion about these things online. I feel like people don't understand what's going on or what these books are about. Maybe just because I'm on the retailer end, I thought the messaging has been pretty clear. But a lot of people seem to not kind of know what's going on here. So I wanted to pitch this book. Unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately, again, humble brag, I've got to hear a private presentation from Jim Lee and Scott Snyder about the book, and I also did get to read the first issue. So I can't talk about some stuff because it doesn't come out till Wednesday. However...
You mean tomorrow?
Today's Monday now.
Oh, I keep forgetting it's not Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, some stuff's already been spoiled on Bleeding Cool because fuck what isn't. Yeah. But I did want to kind of pitch this series to people that might not be on their radar. If you're reading DC, if you're reading All-Star Batman, if you like Snyder, if you just like Justice League or the big DC events, this is a big DC event done in a different way. So there's 2 one-shots, one coming out in June, one coming out in July, called Dark Days. The Forge is this week. The Casting is next month. These 2 one-shots are $5 issues, 48 pages, I believe. They're like double size, more than double size.
So like cheaper than my latest X-Men book.
Yeah. They have like this awesome like foil, like metal foil cover, totally cool looking. The artists are Jim Lee, John Romita Jr., and Adam Kubert. I don't have the book in front of me, so I can't tell you.
So a third of them won't sell.
Well, it's all one comic. The pitch here is that Batman has discovered a connection through nth metal. That's Hawkman's.
Love nth metal. Yep.
Hawkman's thing that gives him his
Thangar.
power. Yeah.
Love Thangar.
The ability to access and see this other dimension.
Oh dear.
All right. And so,
who's that fucking terribly annoying girl that you love from Stranger Things that you believe should get justice? Yeah, you're so annoying. I was not hashtag justice for Barb. I just thought like everyone, I thought it was funny. They just kind of forgot about her. No, you're a justice for Barb person.
If it's not, I don't want to say it's too dissimilar to something like, the Upside Down or whatever, right? This is sort of, you have the different, you have the antimatter universe, and this is like the dark matter universe, right? So there's this other kind of layer to the DC that previously unexplored.
Yeah, there's the regular universe and New 52.
Is that the dark universe?
Yeah.
That Batman is able to kind of access.
Well, there's like the light universe, which is Marvel, and the dark universe, which is DC.
Now, some of you have seen these preview pages, and there's a couple characters that have had almost no exposure in the New 52.
You mean what?
There are some characters in this that, as of the New 52 and into Rebirth, have not appeared before.
Post-Rebirth. And I thought New 52, we're not talking about that
anymore.
New
52 as well. These are characters. So there's a couple characters that are in this preview that are out there that there's at least one that you have not seen. You have not seen this interpretation of since New 52 happened.
Wait, I'm sorry. I want to hear the rest of what you have to say. But didn't Rebirth obsolete New 52? Like, aren't we now back in the normal universe?
I mean, it is becoming that way. As more people are realizing what's happened, especially because of Superman Reborn, and the Button crossover, elements of the New 52 are starting to trickle away. Some characters and Green Arrow and I want to say the Red Hood book and a few of the others, they're starting to acknowledge more and more pre-New 52 continuity. A couple major characters that have not been seen in the DC universe for 6 years, and not major, I'm not talking like Superman or Batman major, but important characters to the comics are in this book. So I don't know that they explain who's this random new hero? I think they're just kind of like, yeah, this character's here because he's here. There's a team that we have not seen in a very long time. Not the Legion of Superheroes.
I was going to say.
Not the Legion.
Okay.
I will tell you that. But there's a team we have not seen in a very long time that makes an appearance in this. If you are a fan of just your general DC universe, this is the start of their first major Rebirth crossover. Again, you've had...
Are we doing spoilers or no spoilers?
No
Okay.
spoilers.
All right.
So you have the first part is out this Wednesday. Next part is out next month. Starting in August, you have Batman Metal. That is like the event that launches this whole Dark Days, Dark Matter universe thing. So all these books that are coming out of it later in the year, the ones we talked about a few weeks back, this is your sort of path. So,
okay, my eyes are starting to roll back in my head.
you know how you have like X-Men, Apocalypse, like Alpha and
Not
Omega.
that I don't understand it, just that I'm getting fucking bored. Like, we're going to talk a bunch about Wonder Woman later, and we haven't talked about anything but DC so far, and this is
Like
a fucking
I said,
50% Bryce podcast.
We're
like,
gonna go on to Marvel next, but there was a
you think
people,
that Charlie and Brock were here with you?
For some reason, I keep seeing people that say, I don't know what this is, I don't know what it means. DC's not doing a good job explaining
Yeah,
it. So,
DC doesn't do a good job in a lot of things.
so
Higgins.
I am trying to explain to our listeners that if you are a fan of DC, you want to pick these books up. Will they be as big or cool as
What are you...
as
What? Oh my god. What?
will it be as big as cooler as the Button? I don't know. Again, I've only read the first issue, but this is the start of DC's first big Rebirth crossover.
Will it be as cool as X-Men Prime?
First big Rebirth event.
No.
So make sure you check that out this Wednesday. Please don't miss it. I ordered a shitload, so please don't miss it.
Okay, well, I will surely not miss it.
Let's talk about Marvel.
Please, let's talk about Marvel. Thank God.
Now, Bryce, if I say Vanishing Point, what does that mean to you?
That, am I doing a Brock joke or am I not doing a Brock joke?
Do whatever you want.
Well, I will not do a Brock joke because we could all be spared one of those. I will say that Vanishing Point is the point in the room where they're having a sales meeting at the Marvel headquarters, and the head sales executive at Marvel says, okay, here's your quota for what we've recently launched with Marvel.
And it vanishes.
And then there's the Vanishing Point. That was maybe I'm the only person in sales in this room, which is half true. I thought that was hilarious. By the way, you're welcome to laugh out loud by yourselves.
I'm sure many salespeople will get that joke.
Vanishing Point.
So, of course, when I think of Vanishing Point, when a DC fan thinks of Vanishing Point, you think of the place where Rip Hunter and Wave Rider hang out, especially if you've seen Legends Season 1, Legends of Tomorrow Season 1. They reference the Vanishing Point in that as well. That's where the Time Masters hang out. Although, we're getting another Vanishing Point very soon.
Thank God. Yours sounds lame.
Marvel has given us a little bit more info about Secret Empire, the book going on right now. The final issue coming out, number 10, which is out in August, I believe. August or September? I believe it's August. They're pitching something in it called The Vanishing Point. Now, for those that have read Secret Empire, you read 2 yet?
Yeah.
Okay, you read 2.
Yep.
Okay. So the real Captain America is back. You get a little bit more of him in 3, which came out a couple of weeks ago.
I haven't read 3 yet. But go ahead.
There are we don't know anything officially. There are previews of 4. Again, more characters popping up. More characters are popping up in this Vanishing Point. We believe that where he is, this is the theory, is that they're in this Vanishing Point. It's kind of their... I don't know what you want to call it. Is it Marvel's limbo? Is it like between dimensions? Is it between Dimension X or not Dimension X? What was it? Dimension Z? What was the Remender Cap from?
No, we will never talk about that ever again.
That's what this cap's from, though. That is 100% where this Captain America is from. He's from Dimension Z. The Armanzola's.
No
That's
way.
where he's coming back from.
It is, by the way, Dimension Z.
Yeah, Dimension Z.
But
Yeah.
there's no way.
That is 100% where he's coming back from.
But they didn't say this in the book.
No, but it is the same Cap. If you look back at those issues, the Ramita issues, he's got the hair, he's got the goatee, he's like totally beat
Every
up
time
and
I look
grizzled.
at Ramita Junior art, I want to fucking cut a part of my body.
Well, it's totally from that point.
Well, then I'm going to be in a lot of pain.
And more than that, this Vanishing Point thing that's in Secret Empire is not just related to Secret Empire and Captain America. It is apparently also going to connect to Marvel Generations and Marvel Legacy, which are their classic character kind of bring back. So it is possible that this world, which I'm going to assume now is this sort of pre-Secret Wars world, these characters are going to kind of come back from a more classic time at Marvel, 3 years ago. And
Good old days.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's what this is, right? I mean, we don't know anything official. We won't know to the end of Secret Empire, but they're now saying Secret Empire dovetails directly into Legacy and Generations. That's how I'm reading this. So,
which is so funny that they made that whole claim about no line-wide crossover events for 18 months or whatever. Like, there must have been some fucking huge asterisks in that comment.
Oh, well,
because...
it's what you just said, line-wide crossover. We're going to have,
right.
We have the Hulk and Weapon X crossover going on right now. We have Edge of Venomverse and Venomverse coming up right now, which is going to have a bunch of one-shots and tie-ins. We're going to have, I'm sure there's going to be more stuff, but there is no more 24 crossovers plus a main book plus 3 side books. Like, that's done. I'm okay with Legacy being a one-shot and Generations being a series of one-shots. And I'm okay with the Exo Manowar, Jesus Christ. The Weapon X and Hulk crossover. That stuff's fine. Just cool it down on the big event books for a while.
My problem with the big event books, DC or Marvel, but, recently only Marvel's been a perpetrator, it has been that they do it line-wide and then they make those crossover tie-in books just meaningless and useless. Like if they were good and or relevant, I would take or. Then it'd be fair play. Let me buy them all. As it is, I'm an idiot, so I buy them all. But they're awful, and I have buyer's remorse and still buy them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's complaining about. I mean, people are complaining about too many crossovers, but people are mostly complaining about bad crossovers. Now, again, Bryce, let me, you may not believe me, but I've given some very strong feedback to DC about some of their upcoming plans and how I think they're making a mistake. Stuff I can't talk about. Sorry, I hate to do this, but...
You're the worst.
I am the worst, but Marvel and DC are reaching out to retailers on a level they never have before. And that's great, but they need to be able to listen and take our advice as people on the front line, literally talking to customers. You can do stuff so many times and it works. But if Marvel's like, we have Legacy, and never mind, we're going to reboot everything again to number ones. Like, Marvel,
no way, that's not.
No. I'm saying if they did that,
okay.
They wouldn't. I mean, it would be like it'd be the end of it. If DC turned to me tomorrow and they're like, Rebirth 2, we're going to restart everything at number ones tomorrow, I'd fucking flip out, right? Like, neither of these are happening.
I'm about to flip out, and this is all hypothetical.
But I am either company, if I think they're doing something wrong, I am very willing to tell them directly, now that we have an actual point of contact with these companies, that I think they're making a mistake. And in the case of DC, they got some really good stuff coming up, but there's something they're working on that I was like, I don't know about that. With Marvel, I have a lot of hope for Generations and Legacy, but there's still some stuff that needs to get fixed. The X-Men books have been doing great for us, but I do want to talk about this real briefly. Iceman came out this week, and as expected, it fucking bombed. We sold like almost no copies.
Who wrote it? Is it hopeless?
Probably. I don't know. I didn't even look at it.
I do not know who wrote it.
The Jean Grey book sold great.
Inexplicably, I thought that book was hot trash.
I mean, I thought it was all right, but Iceman is
in what
not
world do you like any X-Men book more than me?
I've read the first two. I thought they were all right.
Oh, God. Oh, they're
well, Quentin Quire is in number 2. So
which one?
Quentin Quire is in number 2. So of course,
Quentin Quire makes everything better. I very rarely agree with you, but in this case, I do.
When I saw all these books coming out from Marvel, I'm like, that's awesome. Why is Iceman on this list? That book should not be there. And what a surprise. We sold like 4 copies. Jean Grey sold like 30 copies. Cable did really well, right?
Holy fucking shit. You sold 4 copies? Cable Cable.
I haven't read Cable one yet.
Cable's incredible. You know what? It is a fact in the comic book industry that no comic book company can create a comic book character called Dish because Cable is just better.
Stupid.
Okay, listen to me. Dad jokes in my household work great because I have a 4-year-old that thinks whatever I say is hilarious.
Oh my God.
My wife hates them all, so I'm going to put you in that category.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not surprised that Cable did well, joking aside. Jean Grey, I am surprised did well. I did not like Jean Grey. I haven't read number 2 yet. But while I haven't read it yet, it's, of course I'm going to cast aspersions on it. If any of the original time peopled X-Men got their own story, I'm shocked that Jean Grey is doing as well. Cyclops, wasn't that canceled after 6 issues?
Yeah,
and that was awful. The leader of the X-Men. If Beast or Beast or Angel got their own solo title, would it do any better? I cannot imagine.
Well, Iceman, gay, straight, kid, adult, I don't care. There shouldn't be.
I'm not even, exactly. No, I'm not even talking about gay, straight, kid, or adult. No. I'm saying that
Iceman, the character, should not have his own ongoing series.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying.
There's no
Beast
audience
or Angel,
no, they shouldn't have theirs either. In Cyclops' book, Jean Grey is a character where there's a lot to explore. I'm okay. I feel like of the 5, she is the one that I think can hold her own title. The kid version, because there is a lot to explore with that character if they don't want to keep retreading the Phoenix crazy adult stuff.
I think that there's more for Cyclops, but I still think that none of them should have their own story.
If it's a choice of any of them, I would say Jean Grey, but I would prefer all of them to just be normal again, yes.
Yeah.
Back to their original versions.
Yeah.
But the Jean Grey book has sold pretty well for us, all things considered.
Not as many people are as wise as we are. That's not funny. That's serious.
Now, I did want to talk, I think that's it for the main comic stuff, but we did want to talk about, no spoilers, Bryce, I won't spoil you, but we did get to see the Black Panther trailer, our first trailer for Black Panther. I'm assuming you did not watch this.
Spoiler alert, I did not watch it.
Game 4 is when it went up. Did you watch it? No?
Okay. Oh. Then thank God I missed it, although, I mute commercials in the Larsen household. Do you want to talk about it while I use the facility?
I sure can. Yeah. So while Bryce steps away for a minute, I'll talk about the Black Panther trailer here. Now, there's no surprise to a lot of people. I have not been the biggest fan of the last handful of Marvel movies. I think they've been making some mistakes. They're not, they've kind of become very repetitive and gone off a direction I haven't really cared for. I don't hate them. I don't think they're terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I would like something a little different. I'm a little bored with some of them. I'm hoping they pick up. I'm looking for something a little different in these Marvel movies and the audience they're going for, which is fair. It's just not everything is going to be for everyone. The Black Panther trailer, I thought, looked surprisingly good. I don't want to say I didn't have faith in it, but I wasn't sure how they were going to pull it off. Black Panther's a great character, but I feel like he's very underserved in the comics, especially, in the last 10, I'd say in the last 10, 20 years, but really always. He's never been, I think, given his due. The Christopher Priest run of Black Panther, easily the only good time the comics ever been around. I have no real history with the Kirby stuff or the earlier stuff. As a supporting character, he's amazing, but his individual titles, The Jungle Tale, or was it Jungle Fantasy? There's nothing there, I think, for a modern audience. The recent attempts at Black Panther books, whether the Ta-Nehisi Coates series is dull as fucking dishwater, and all the spin-offs were just DOA. The handful of runs prior to that were unreadable, mostly terrible. The Christopher Priest run is groundbreaking. It's the best the character has been treated ever. It's so well done. So I was really excited to see how a movie version of Black Panther would take that would take those characters and that take on the character. And I thought the trailer looked great. Bryce is back, so I won't spoil anything. You've all seen the trailer, I'm sure. If I have any complaint in the trailer, and this is typical of a lot of early trailers.
Let me guess. It was too jokey.
No, not at all.
It was too happy and hopeful.
No, not at all. There is a pretty bad CG end scene. What's supposed to be kind of the money shot of the trailer looks pretty rough. That thing needs another 6 or 7 passes. But, again, we're so far. It's not until February. Plenty of time. Not too worried.
It was probably filmed in a theater with really hot...
Yeah, lots of gum under the shoe and everything like that.
No AC.
I don't want to make a comparison because I'm sure these things were done pretty independent of each other, but I actually really like the look of the Wakandans. It's not... there's definitely some big overly CG shots, but they do have a lot of more traditional seeming combat sequences that aren't too CG. It reminded me a lot of what they did in the Wonder Woman movie. While there's a lot of CG added on top to enhance some of the scenes, there's a lot of just a slightly more traditional characters standing around, which I appreciated. I think the poster's hot trash. I think the poster is one of the worst movie posters, and we've had a year of horrible movie posters. That Spider-Man movie poster is top 5 worst poster of all time, the one that came out a couple weeks back. But the Black Panther poster is terrible. But the trailer was pretty good. So I'm very hopeful for Black Panther. It did. The people watching the trailer from the game to YouTube was incredible. Something like 90 million people have seen that trailer already. Crazy.
90 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
While I was indisposed, did you say the words, I'm a little worried about, and then insert
I don't think I said I'm a little worried. Maybe I did.
You probably fucking did.
I probably did.
Yeah, you're the worst.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty good.
Why do you watch trailers? What is the point? You're going to see it anyway.
Yeah, I know, but stuff to talk about on the podcast, and for the stuff I really am crazy excited for, like Justice League. I don't know what they're going to do for trailers. Wonder Woman I checked out pretty early on. I didn't watch too many extras. My interest in Black Panther is minimal. I'm excited to see it. In the case of Spider-Man, I felt the most recent trailer was they need to fire every single person who made every trailer for Spider-Man prior and take the person who made this most recent trailer and make them their main trailer guy, because holy shit. Every other trailer for Spider-Man made me not want to see the movie. They were that bad. This new trailer was like, oh, hey, this looks cool. They did a very good job.
So I haven't seen any of these, so I can't fucking really talk intelligently, which is sort of a Cliff's Notes on my life. But do you think that has to do with this whole Disney actually helping Sony actually finally trickling down? Or do you think that they had a hand in the original trailers and...
I don't know. I have no clue.
Well, you don't know a fucking lot, but it doesn't stop you from talking about it.
Well, they did 3 or 4 trailers, and everyone was worse than the previous. The last trailer before this one that was in front of Wonder Woman was, here's the entire movie in chronological order with just... It looked so dull and didn't do the job a trailer was supposed to do. It was just scene to scene to scene, and it showed the plot start to finish. And I was like, wow, guess I don't need to see the movie. It doesn't look that great anyway, but this is the entire plot of the movie, just hands down. There's no question. This trailer was like, oh, an actual trailer that doesn't give away anything. Lots of cool action shots, explains a bit of an overall plot, but actually makes the villain look interesting. And it looked like it was done professionally, where all the other Spider-Man trailers were awful.
Okay, on a scale of excitement ranging from Iron Man 3 reaction to Wonder Woman reaction, I think that the limits are self-explanatory. How excited or disappointed will you be when Justice League ends and Flash still has his lightning bolt shaped codpiece?
I'm just going, but the internet tells me that he's getting a traditional costume at the end. I'm going with that rumor.
Right, that's why I said what if. That's why I prefaced with what if. Are you just going to ignore the possibility that...
it doesn't... I don't think his costume is great.
It doesn't bother you?
I think Cyborg's 1,000 times worse.
Oh my god, Cyborg is so much worse.
It is so bad.
Cyborg is so bad.
Flash is bad. Cyborg is unforgivable.
Yes, Cyborg I'm ignoring because that is just literally laugh out loudable. I'm talking about the fact that he probably had to go to some guy and be like, I need something to go over my cock.
The story is...
Hey, can you make that more lightning bolt shaped?
Again, I don't know how accurate any of this is. I don't know, because they're doing reshoots. They've changed stuff up. Johns came in and blah, blah, blah. So
thank God.
And Joss Whedon came in.
Thank God Joss Whedon came in.
The story you've heard this whole time is that this is something that he cobbled together himself from spare parts and everything, and that's why it's all bulky.
Who did? Snyder or
Barry?
Whedon?
Barry Allen.
Oh.
Flash.
Oh, this lightning bolt shaped cock shaped cup was just lying around. Is that what you're telling me?
He cobbled the stuff together himself.
I bet he cobbled something together himself.
The rumor was Batman makes him a much more traditional Flash costume by the end of the movie. Again, don't know the source of this rumor. This is just what I've heard for months and months and months now. I'm gonna keep repeating it and hope it's true. And if it's not,
that's like a metaphor for your life.
I'm excited for him to be in a much better costume, but I don't know. I think everyone else in the movie looks great. Batman's costume looks fine. Aquaman looks awesome. Wonder Woman looks the same.
So, do you think that Aquaman looks awesome?
Who's talking about DC? I was talking about Marvel here.
Okay. We'll talk about. I'll have plenty of bullshit to say about DC later. Were you talking about Marvel?
Yeah, Black Panther.
You were talking about Black Panther.
I
haven't seen the trailer. I can't fucking. I don't know.
That's why I was talking to the audience while you were in the bathroom.
They didn't know where I was. Thanks for outing me as a person that needs to use the facilities.
So let's since we got to the movies, let's talk about Wonder Woman. You mentioned Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Bryce. Yeah. You saw Wonder Woman. Now, again, full spoilers. So
full spoilers for Wonder Woman.
Give us 15, 30, 45 minutes as Bryce, just keep fast-forwarding.
I'm going to give you like 5 minutes. I don't need any more than 5 minutes.
Talk as long as you want. What do you think of Wonder Woman, Bryce? Noted DC hater. What did you think of Wonder Woman?
Known DC hater. Noted.
I mean, you really run the gambit on these DC movies. Your opinions. I don't know what you think of this one, so...
Well, the whole spectrum, as you correctly mentioned, of feelings there. Anyway, I loved Wonder Woman. Took my old lady to see it.
More importantly, what does she think?
She loved it. Dude, I literally wish that my daughter was older so that I could take her to see it. And also, my son, I wish was older so that I could take him to see it. Like,
I think your son would be all right.
No. Possible slight correction? I'm not saying that he wouldn't be okay seeing it. I just don't think that he would give a fuck. Like, I think that he'd be like, "Where's my fucking Pokemon toys?" Like,
understood.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that he'd appreciate it.
He likes the comic stuff, though. You've shown him a bunch, right?
Yeah, he likes it, but like, this was so much more of a story of like a woman superhero can be fucking super badass, and also like hang with anyone else, and we literally haven't had that story told well before.
But for a kid, isn't it just it's a good story?
I mean,
kids don't. I mean, God knows.
Disagree.
Adults have had to deal with the whole can women be superhero bullshit for long enough.
Right, that's super annoying. But that's not what I'm saying. Like, yes, he could watch a movie and understand that like a female can be a superhero. Yeah, but like,
unless you've been doing some weird shit, he hasn't had society's problems drilled into his brain yet.
So I will not bring up the Halle Berry Catwoman, but
that was like 12 years ago. He wasn't even born then.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please name for me the more recent female superhero movie.
I mean, there hasn't been any.
Oh, you're welcome. So anyway, the last plausible, because I'm not counting Catwoman, superhero movie, and I'm talking comic books. I'm not talking about like Lucy. I haven't seen Lucy. I heard that
Star Wars.
Is she a superhero just because she's Luke Skywalker's daughter? Spoiler alert.
I'm not saying superhero, but yeah, I mean, it's that, too many women in movies now. Bleh.
No, that's not...
mouth breathers.
Yeah, fuck those guys. I'm not saying that. I'm saying superheroes. I read a fucking lot of comic books. My kids pick up on it. This might be breeder problems and you just don't understand because fucking Nico doesn't read comic books. But she
sits with me while I'm reading comics.
She probably does not. She's probably like fucking DC troll. Leaves the room and goes and hangs out with Leanne. Anyway, so in terms of female superheroes, my kids see me reading comic books, and my son is super invested into all this stuff, and my daughter's too young. But she's going to get to a point where she's going to care about superheroes, and every one of them is going to be a male because 90+% of what I read is Marvel, and Marvel's female leads are awful. I did not like the Jean Grey book. I'm not against a female superhero at fucking all, but I didn't like the Jean Grey book. I thought that it was, I don't know.
This has been a bigger problem with Marvel specifically. It's great that they have all these. It's great that they have all these books with female leads and gay leads and black leads and non-straight white men leads, but most of the books have been bad.
Okay, that's I guess what I'm. That's okay.
Yeah, that has been the problem.
I totally agree with you.
I don't care who or what or the gender or anything of any of these characters. The books have been subpar. And DC, with Rebirth, has done a great job with Green Lanterns, with Batwoman, with Birds of Prey, and Batgirl are okay. The Supergirl
Green
book's
Lanterns?
okay.
What?
Jessica Cruz, she's like the dual lead main character.
Is there a fucking another Green Lantern?
Jessica, she's been for a while. Jessica Cruz has been around since Forever Evil. Yeah, she's been around for 4 or 5 years now.
Really?
Yeah. But Mera is basically the second main character in Aquaman, but in Aquaman, she's awesome in Aquaman. So yeah, DC's done a great job with the female characters. Marvel, they've got a few, but less so.
Marvel is way ahead in terms of representation, if not ahead in terms of quality of those stories.
Not way ahead.
In terms of representation,
there may be more books, but character-wise, it's probably pretty close. And quality, I would.
Okay, well,
we agree with quality.
Okay.
Anyway,
we can also agree that in terms of representation,
why would your kid not watch this Wonder Woman movie? Just fucking take him. Like, he would like it. Like, let's just ignore all the rest of this crap.
Bro, first of all, fucking movie tickets are like $15 now. Okay, I took my kid to Happy Hollow. Have you been to Happy Hollow?
Yeah.
Happy Hollow is fucking awesome.
Like a long time ago. They have red pandas now, apparently.
They do not have red pandas that are not toys or fake.
The sign lied to me.
Yes, that is probably true. Just like your sign at your store that says DC is better than Marvel, it lied to everybody. Anyway, I'm not saying, dude, I'm not saying that he wouldn't like sit through it and at the end tell me that he loved me and that he liked the movie. Fucking what is that? Like, he's 4 years old. Of course he's gonna love it because it's comic books. But anyway, I forget the gist of where I was going with that since that terrible
What did you think of Wonder Woman?
Fucking loved Wonder Woman.
Excellent.
Loved Wonder Woman.
Dumb kid.
It was the best Marvel.
Sorry, I was mean.
Well, I know that you were only 90% true, honest. Yeah, it was the best Marvel movie that I've seen in a long time. Yeah,
best Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really colorful. There was tons of jokes. People actually laughed at the jokes as opposed to Suicide Squad.
You mean Guardians of the Galaxy? 2.
Literally, the whole theater was raucously laughing, except for you. In fact, I think that even you were until the podcast, and you were like, fucking Baby Groot.
No,
my Depends are full. I gotta go change them.
Oh, no. When me and Leanne went to see it the second time, audience was silent.
Wow.
It was just that...
You must have got the audience that I saw for Suicide Squad, which was like, what the fuck? Is that supposed to be funny?
There's not a lot of jokes in Suicide Squad.
Oh my God. There are so many terrible moments where they like pause and wait for the audience to laugh, and nobody in my theater was laughing.
No.
Oh my God.
You are completely misread. I mean, there's humorous moments in it, but it isn't. That's all Suicide Squad. That's all Guardians 2, man. That's all Guardians 2.
One of these days, DC is actually going to come in and buy your fucking store out, and you're going to be unlimitedly wealthy, which is not a word, but it is now. And you are going to do movie... I'm sorry, not trailers. You're going to do
so Wonder Woman
movie commentaries with me, and we'll do Suicide Squad as well. We'll add that to the list.
What did you think?
Listen to me. Wonder Woman was really great. I have 1,000 like nitpicky things, but ultimately a movie for me. solid A, maybe A minus, but a great movie. And the whole, I didn't mean to talk about the kids for so long. I really wish that my kids were old enough to appreciate it. Like, of course they could go and they would see it and they would probably like it, but they wouldn't really understand the impact I think that it has for. I feel like if my kids were a half decade older or a decade older, like they would get so much more out of it. Like, it is so rare that such a good story is told. It's like, I mean, I don't mean to dismiss it because I actually did not like, and I know this is going to get me a lot of what. Okay, so spoiler alert for people that may think that they like me that listen to this. I'm about to make you second guess yourself, and I implore you not to second guess yourself. I'm still a really nice guy. I did not like Captain America 1. I think that I've said that before. I don't mean like I didn't like.
That's crazy. I just know people that. So I know a few people that think it's like among the best. I know a few people that really didn't like it, and that kind of both confused me a little bit. But the people that don't like it really confused me. I don't get. I think Cap 1 is
I think
real
that
solid.
Somebody went back in time. It was probably one of the Doctor Who people or Chromie from World of Warcraft, and switched my appreciation of Wonder Woman and Cap 1. I just thought that it was so cliched and tropey. And I've heard word that some detractors of Wonder Woman thought that Wonder Woman was cliched and tropey. I did not at all. I thought that Wonder Woman was great. I thought that all the jokes landed. I thought that Chris Pine was phenomenal. Again, I would love to talk about all my nitpicks, but in general, this is the first good female superhero movie from a comic book that we've literally ever had.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that alone, in my opinion, if I'm a fucking aggregator for Rotten Tomatoes and I control the master switch, I give it fucking 80 plus 80 or 90%. Like, there alone, like it was so refreshing to get a good story like that. I can't wait to get to the nitpicks. So let me try to keep talking about the good things. Just going through, and I know that you talked ad nauseum about it, your love for it last week. So I'll try to keep it relatively quick. The slow-mo elements on Themyscira were so awesome. The fact that she didn't know that she was the god killer was so awesome. The fact that you didn't remember that Robin Wright's name was Antiope was so awesome. Let's see. The whole thing about like them getting both origins fit into this story not awkwardly was so awesome.
Both the modern and the
we created you from clay, and you're the daughter of Zeus and the Queen of the Amazons was really cool. Let's see. Oh my God! If you guys haven't listened to last week's episode, go back and listen to it. I could not agree with you more about that fucking douchebag's mustache. Like, he was the exact same in Harry Potter. He's Professor Lupin, I believe, from Harry Potter. He looked literally the exact same. He had the same douchey mustache. I hate that mustache. Somebody called it a porn stash.
Yeah, he has it in Fargo as well. Same
mustache?
Yeah.
Okay, I love Fargo, but I don't get access to it until the whole season's out and on Netflix. Or
he's the villain in this season. He's
okay,
incredible.
well, stop talking about it. You talked about it enough last week. Somebody called it a porn stash. Terribly. That actually, it was Brock, and I believe Brock probably has seen a lot of porn. But I totally disagree. It is not a porn stash at all. That's a douchey English stash. Anyway, hate that mustache, and like to see them when they did that flashback and they go back in time, and he's like ashamed in his armor in his cave after being defeated by Zeus, but he's still like got the mustache. It's like, God damn it, fucking like have different facial hair. This is obviously hundreds of years ago. Like, you didn't have a different look then.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna pull a Toby and edit like Guardians 2. I'm gonna edit out all the jokes. With this, I'm gonna edit him to look like the version from the...
I really liked your guys' idea. If they had made him, like, just a dark face with red eyes, like... So I actually haven't read the Azzarello run of Wonder Woman. I've heard it's incredible. Yeah, if I read any Wonder Woman, it'll be that.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I'll fucking buy it right now if there's an omnibus of it or a hardcover. Like, anyway, loved that. Loved the one thing that I possibly loved more than anything else in the whole movie was how non-misogynistic it was, almost to a fault. Like, I loved the fact that this is probably misogynistic of me to say, but like, if it had been a male director, I think that it could have gone wrong so many ways. I mean, like, her outfit as Wonder Woman was just, tasteful enough with still being like a, good looking, if you'll forgive me, like, outfit for her, but nobody's like catcalling her. There's no like extra booty showing or extra cleavage showing. She's like a demure girl, if you will. I did not understand the whole. Who is the Chris Pine secretary? You guys mentioned it a bunch.
Etta Candy.
Etta Candy. I don't know who that is. Can you explain?
She's kind of her kid sidekick. Not kid sidekick, but she was like her sidekick back in the Golden Age. And they've had modern day interpretations of her. Okay,
so I did not know who that is. I still don't really from that explanation. But
she's her like Rick Jones.
Oh, so she's awesome because she's Marvel related. Anyway, so that was awesome. I absolutely loved going back. A bunch of my like love of it will go back to the whole like lack of misogyny thing. But like, I loved the fact that it was a fish out of water story. But instead of like in the Thor movie, if you'll remember, or the Cat movie, like they made Cap like a big dumb animal a little bit. And they made Thor a big dumb animal, but that's more understandable because he's an alien. He's not like from here. With her, they made her super intelligent, right? They made her like very well read, and she understands everything, and she's in on all the jokes as opposed to being like part of the joke, which would have been so easy to not do, right? Like it would have been so easy for them to just make her this like dumb bimbo, and I'm so glad that they didn't. Because I think that it would have just been such lazy filmmaking. So, great job there as well. Let's see here. I'm trying to fill out my own bingo sheet. Chris Pine, I thought that he did a great job. I mean, how many jokes in the whole movie involved Chris Pine? I think almost every one of them. Not a critique, but just maybe a point. But I thought he did great. This is just more of a personal note, I'm a huge sucker for like lost romances and shipping in general of specific couples. And so like Gambit and Rogue will always be my like number one. Like they belong together for the, the ends of the earth. I like Casablanca is one of my favorite movies ever because, I'm just so heartbroken that Humphrey Bogart, spoiler alert for fucking Casablanca, you douchebags, that Humphrey Bogart doesn't get together with Ingrid Bergman at the end of the movie. And so in this one, I absolutely love. So I don't know Wonder Woman's like actual comics lore. I've read practically fuck all Wonder Woman, but absolutely love what they did with Steve Trevor in terms of. And Kevin actually said this last episode much more succinctly than I will be able to. But they did a great job of having him play his role and then killing him. And so we'll never see him again. And I hope that we don't see Chris Pine recast as his own grandson, because I absolutely loved the whole, love that they shared, however brief.
It's not like she has to hook up with him in the new one. She could just be like, oh, cool, this is your grandson. Awesome.
Yeah, I just hope that they just leave it forever. I mean, that's just more of a romantic romantic side in me. So I absolutely love that. I didn't think about it at the time, but I did agree with what you guys said last week. I did not like the bookends. I have some more nitpicks about the and okay. By the way, this is gonna okay. So maybe I can start treading into my nitpicks a little bit, because I really love this movie. So please, every nitpick, I will have plenty of nitpicks, but it will not reflect at all on the fact that I absolutely love this movie. Filling out more of my bingo card that was not addressed last week. I would love to think that DC's turned a corner. Unlike the other 50% of the hosts of this show tonight, I actually think that DC has been a fucking mess. But I do have to say that, like, until Wonder Woman, Zack Snyder, I've been wondering more and more if, like, my problem isn't with, like, the DC direction so much as it is that the fact that they've, like, cast or hired Zack Snyder to be their visionary, which seems incredibly short-sighted to me. But
he produced this movie too.
Yeah, and it was awesome. But I've always had this lingering theory that producers can, like, have a heavy hand or fucking mail it in. And so executive producer to producer, like, movie to movie, what does that even fucking mean? Because it was more than that, right? Didn't he also, like, write the story or co-write the story? He was more than just a producer.
I don't remember.
He was on there for more than... Because I remember absolutely loving this movie, and then, like, one of the first names in the credits was his name, and I was like, what the fuck? How did I like this movie? Like, it was colorful, it was happy, there were jokes, like... the action wasn't crazy over the top and 20 minutes long with a terrible villain. I fucking loved the creation of the armor of Ares.
A lot of people did compare the Ares fight to the Doomsday fight, and I disagreed with that. I thought it was much more reserved. No, many people.
All those people are wrong. Everyone, 100%.
I mean, I agree too. I mean, I like the Doomsday fight. It's just different.
Right. Nobody's perfect.
I felt this was a much more reserved fight. It was a big blowout. But I had multiple people that were like, yeah, the first 3 quarters were good, and then it totally shits to bed with all the CG fighting at the end.
Right. So let me delve into some of my nitpicks. By the way, every nitpick from here on out, please keep in mind, fucking loved the movie. 90%, if not higher, not much higher, but like 90%. Just, I cannot tell you.
What should its Rotten Tomato score be? 90%? Is that the Bryce Rotten Tomato score?
The Bryce Rotten Tomato score is 90%. They did a fucking great job. It was easily the best modern day DC movie. That's a fucking joke to even have to mention. But I'm sorry, I'm not thinking of the Batman movies.
Your nitpicks.
You know what? People love what?
Your nitpicks. You were going to say your nitpicks.
I'll get to that. So people love Dark Knight, as they should, because it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. That fucking boat scene with the guy from Next Friday, I cannot get over that scene. And that scene will forever make that movie not 100% for me. That movie was 100% for me, except for that fucking boat scene, like, yeah, we're all gonna do the right thing. Like, killed me. So, anyway, Dark Knight will never be 100% because of that fucking barge scene with the guy from Next Friday. Anyway, other than that movie was perfect. And I actually possibly like Dark Knight Returns more than Dark Knight because it had its own flaws, but each of its flaws were less than that fucking barge scene.
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, did I say the comic book name?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep. Anyway, so those 2 movies, I like Wonder Woman even more than Batman Begins. But it's tough because I think that those Batman movies are fucking, like, impossible to overthrow, and Wonder Woman came way infinitely closer than I ever thought any DC movie ever possibly could have. And by the way, I only think that there's a handful of Marvel movies, yes, I'm going to say this, that were better than Wonder Woman. I think that there's a handful that are better, but I do have to think about it more, maybe see it again, because I probably will, even though I was certain before watching it that I would not watch it more than once. Anyway, okay, so my nitpicks. So I have a million. Fucking Ares. Ares looks like the biggest British douchebag loser ever. Like, I want Ares to be a badass. That guy was a poncy British douche, and he's supposed to be Ares.
Again, I think had they made that like his human guise, and he comes out of it.
I literally, because by the way, that actor fucking absolutely loved that.
He's amazing. He
did an amazing job. I honestly don't know if they just shaved that mustache off. I'm not joking. If they'd shaved that mustache off, would I have been like, the whole time, I'm like, okay, this area is like, you're supposed to be a super badass and you have this awful mustache. But then they do the flashback with him in the cave after Zeus defeats him, and he's still got the same, he's like shirtless and like is he buff? Possibly. And he's like in fucking Greek armor. And he's like, oh, this guy like could possibly look badass. You know, his hair is all tousled. But then he's got that fucking terrible mustache. I'm just like, it takes away everything from that scene. I'm just like, I can't not take you seriously. That is the worst mustache in humankind. Okay, a couple other things. Gal Gadot, fucking phenomenal actress. This is where I might need your help, even though I'll get fucking no help from you. About this is going to be the thing that's most controversial about what I'm going to say about this whole movie, is that I love what. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Okay, now that's my statement. I do have to say, she did a fucking incredible job. The Wonder Woman would not have been Wonder Woman without her. She did a great acting job. She looked the part. She fit the part very well. The acting was very well done. Everything. I wonder in another. My only thing is that I wonder in another world. She's again filling in my bingo card. She's very easy on the eyes. And when you have the bookend scenes in Paris, she's a very slight and demure and small of stature person. And I'm not saying that at all negatively. She's just, she's short and she is very skinny. I thought that the Etta Candy comment about, like, why would you need to tuck your stomach in? And then Etta Candy says, like, oh, fucking bitch that doesn't need to, like, of course.
So Gal Gadot's 5'10", and you throw those Wonder Woman heels on her. She's 6 feet. That's fine. Wonder Woman is tall.
Okay, so I guess, and again, these are all just nitpicks that don't deserve the light of day. But I'm not at all trying to diminish what she did, because what she did was incredible. She did a great job in the movie. I'm just saying that if I were going to... By the way, did you know that...
And here's a smart casting. Cast her against Chris Pine. Chris Pine's pretty short. I think he's...
Okay, so that was smart. But how about smart casting? Warner Brothers casts her without the fucking director having a say. Did you know that? Or were you privy to that?
Oh, Chris Pine's 6 feet. Fuck. They make him look shorter than her in that.
Yeah, no. My point is, they do not make her look like an Amazon. My whole life, I'm growing up, DC Comics or not, thinking Amazons are fucking, like, not brutes. And I don't actually have a problem with, Tobias last week raised the whole, like, shaved armpit. Like, that's so beyond what I'm even thinking.
The rest of the Amazons on the island, they were tall. They were, like, big people.
Whether or not they were tall, I don't know. Again, I don't even want to talk about it so much as I am, even because it's such a minor nitpick. I'm kind of frustrated that they didn't even consult with the director of the fucking movie about casting her, because they didn't. I don't know if you read that already. But while I think that they ultimately did a great job and Gal Gadot did just a fantastic job, I just envision an Amazon being more beastly. The fucking scene when she's holding up the tank at the end and about to squash Professor Poison was so awesome. I just, I envision my Amazons a little more beefy. She's a son of person. Anyway, super huge nitpick. Absolutely love what Gal Gadot did. She did a great job. Okay, what else? Yeah, Chris Pine did fantastic. The fucking, like, whole Themyscira thing, I want to go visit there. Whatever that island is, I assume it's Greek, because all beautiful islands are Greek, it seems. I want to go vacation there. Yeah, I love the movie. It was super important to have a strong... unironic, non-misogynistic lead. It was also... here's another nitpick, is that there was almost no misogyny in olden times London, and that's just the most fallible part of the whole movie, was that, like, there was... They kept being like, what's this woman doing here? And there was almost no catcalling, and, like, in that time in Britain...
I can't...
In that time in Britain, Like, there would have been so much more misogyny. Like, they wouldn't have let her in the room. There would have been infinitely more comments
went in
about...
and they flipped out at her. Yeah. Catcalling. I don't know that catcalling in turn of the century London was a thing. Like, catcalling...
Dude, there would be fucking catcalling if she were walking around nowadays. Like,
but they cover... Well,
like,
now...
it's a hugely misogynistic society, and they didn't portray that hardly at all.
Now, yeah. Then, I don't know. I don't get a thing that... I don't know that catcalling was a... I mean... Yes, it's probably always been a thing.
The whole, like, walking into Parliament and it's 100% dudes, and, you know, she's been very, very feminist up until that point.
But she's all covered up and...
Calling things out, like, you know, why is this injustice? Why is this injustice? Why is this injustice? No pun on the DC franchise. And then she, like, walks in but doesn't say anything in this room full of men, and then none of this room full of misogynistic men say anything. Like, anyway, that's
They did, though.
They say, like, who is she and why is she here?
Yeah,
but they don't
like, they're like, oh, what's she doing? Oh, as a woman.
No, they don't throw any shade at her because she's a woman.
Yes, they do.
No,
they 100% do.
No, the lack of misogyny in this movie was very refreshing but unrealistic. In real life, there would have been way more. By the way, I'm glad that they didn't. I love the fact that there was so little. And almost no misogyny in this movie, and I don't think that we would have gotten that with any other director. I think that this movie did a great job of sort of just steering away and not addressing all that. So again, love the movie. I don't mean to nitpick, even though I do, but did notice that.
Let's talk. I want to bring up a couple things here because we're in a second week of Wonder Woman. So while you think about some more stuff to talk about,
challenge accepted.
Wonder Woman. Not that I think this was going to be a surprise, but Wonder Woman crushed The Mummy in The Mummy's opening weekend, the Tom Cruise movie, which did not look.
The Mummy opened this weekend.
Yeah, and Wonder Woman crushed it in its opening weekend. 57.2 million for Wonder Woman's second week. It cleared 200 million 10 days in. It'll probably clear 300 by this time next week. It's already at 436 million worldwide. So yeah, we're probably looking pretty close to what Suicide Squad and BVS did, somewhere in that range. Which a lot of people did not expect Wonder Woman to do that well. So the fact that this is going to come close to probably 800 million, 700 to 800 million is phenomenal. That puts it real high on the list. Wonder Woman had the lowest first to second weekend drop of a modern superhero movie. It dropped 45%. Batman v Superman dropped 69% from first weekend to second weekend.
Yeah, I remember you dismissed this stat when BVS came out, and now it's important.
I don't dismiss it. Why would I dismiss it? I mean, it sucks when the movies drop that high. The Marvel movies tend to trend a lot better than the DC ones.
I'm so happy to hear this.
Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad did disproportionately more money the first weekend, and they dropped severely the second weekend.
Right.
But Wonder Woman is pacing those, and with a better third, fourth, fifth weekend than I'm assuming these movies will probably outpace all of them. Even though it might not make globally the same amount, at least domestically, it'll outpace and probably outperform those movies.
Especially considering some countries aren't even allowing it to be shown.
Yeah, right. Well, you want these movies to do, and I don't know what Wonder Woman's going to do in China. I have no idea. You want these movies to do well weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because Batman v Superman does 166 million its opening weekend. That's awesome. But when it does like 40 million its second weekend, that's terrible, right? You want consecutive that's long-term growth, and you want
the best thing this movie can do is do well domestically, because the world traditionally follows the West's movie habits. And so if Wonder Woman does super well, I mean, like, dude, there are so many people.
Okay, so actually, it's done 38 million in China.
What am I, fucking Brock? You just interrupt me.
It's done 38 million in China one week, and that's a good number. So,
good story. So the fact that this movie is doing so well. So what was I saying? That there are a ton of people in my immediate proximity that emotionally and relationshiply, not physically, that went to see this movie that couldn't give a fuck about superhero movies otherwise. Like,
right.
They're not going to go see BVS and Suicide Squad just because of the aggressive and a bunch of Marvel movies too, just due to the sort of aggressive nature of these tones. But this movie is like sending out these like reviews of, this is a really, hopeful and happy movie. Like, I don't even want to talk about it, but that fucking No Man's Land scene was fucking incredible. Like, I can't even talk about it because you already went on ad nauseum last week, and I don't want to do that again. But I when that was happening, I was fucking blown away. It was so good that I was just like, how has this movie taken so long to be made? I mean, it was so good. Hey, so does Steve Trevor know Wonder Woman?
I don't know. I don't think this version does. In the comics, he does.
Yeah, but
they were boyfriend girlfriend for many, many years in the comics.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. But I meant, in that little hotel room in Belgium, they meet up afterwards after the dancing.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you. Is you don't know? I'm asking you to speculate. You're not going to speculate?
I would assume no, but I don't know.
I would assume yes.
We got some questions. Want to hit some questions? I'm glad you like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I know. It was really good. So just
are you going to come see Justice League?
Final thought.
Are you going to watch Justice League?
Well, I've said this about a bunch of DC movies. I feel like me watching Justice League and being part of this podcast is almost sort of a prerequisite or homework or something like that. It's too big for me not to watch it. I mean, I gotta watch it just for that fucking like arrow-shaped codpiece. I mean, how could I not?
Craig on Twitter asks,
I don't know who this guy is.
Since today is Superman Day, which I don't know where this comes from.
That's probably a lie.
What is your favorite Superman story from the comics, animated, or live action?
What is my favorite what?
What are some of your favorite Superman, or what is your favorite Superman story from either comics, animated, or live action?
I have my answer, but more importantly, it seems like the fucking Warriors are crushing the Cleveland Cavaliers at the spoiler alert for the game that you will have heard. That will have already taken place. 4-1. Fuck you, Cleveland. The Warriors are better than you. Tobias is probably very happy wherever he is right now.
Yeah. And not recording this podcast.
Well, it's probably really sad about that. Okay, best Superman stories. I have my answers. You go.
Comic-wise, I've mentioned
Oh, that's a good idea.
many times.
Distinguish them.
One of my favorite Superman stories is the Superman Legion of Superheroes arc by Jeff Johns. Came out a number of years back. Going a little more classic. I mean, there's not a lot of old Superman stuff I read. I love Death of Superman. I mean, my Superman is like 90s and up. My knowledge of there's not a lot of 80s or 70s Superman stuff that I've read. I mean, I think Death of Superman still to this day stands up as a very emotional story, despite the speculation and does he come back? That whole Death of Superman, Reign of Superman, Return of Superman. I loved those books. I loved all the replacement guys.
Okay, stop talking. You're stealing my whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Movies, I mean, they're all pretty good to great in their own way. I mean, I'm not going to defend Superman 3 or 4. Returns has some great moments, but usually it's not well liked. I mean, Superman 2. I love Superman 2 so much. I love the Zod stuff. I love Superman 2. It's one of my favorite movies.
I literally did not know, as a young, handsome gentleman, what, like, a mute, the type of disability, was.
Okay.
And my mom had to explain it to me, because I was watching the movie.
He just doesn't talk. He grunts a little bit, but he doesn't talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and this might be wildly inappropriate forum to talk about it, but is like, that's a disability, physical disability?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think either of us knows.
I would assume. I mean, I don't know
because I'm trying to think of if I've ever otherwise like seen it occur, but I didn't understand it at all. And my mom had to, he's mute. That's a disability, and I was like, oh, okay. But I haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
Even though, Oh, okay, my turn. Okay, so comics-wise, Higgins. Okay, so the short, not as obvious answer is anything with Mixoplex. Go read any like old story with Mixoplex. And that is your greatest Superman story that you'll get, short of Red and Blue Lightning Superman. Just kidding, because that's not true at all. What I meant to say is President Luthor. Also,
President Luthor's great.
Also joking. No, it was more hype than actual quality storytelling. The real answer is, as Higgins already stole my thunder, the whole Death of Superman, Reign of the Supermen, what the fuck? Return of Life to Superman. What's that third arc?
Death, Reign, and Return.
Return. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, that is what got me. That's on, I think, officially on my way back in episode whatever the fuck. My secret origin was the Death and Reign of Superman when I was a young kid at summer camp. Other kids were going to band camp and doing all those crazy things, and I was reading the Death of Superman. Anyway, that is easily the best. Did they have an omnibus of that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. I assume is out of print?
I think so.
Of course it is. Anyway, so
it's crazy. Like, how does that go out of print?
I do not. Yeah, great question. Do not know. So anyway, Death of Superman, that whole omnibus worth of material is the best Superman story you'll ever see. Okay, best TV show, obviously Lois and Clark. Terry Hatcher, Dean Cain, love that.
I mean, I love Lois and Clark. I'm not going to say anything. I think that show was funny.
Hilariously, awfully bad. It depends what age.
Great.
It was no. I'm not even saying Smallville. I'm saying that that's the one, and I'm not saying whatever your new Krypton show is that is gonna.
Oh, I am really excited for Krypton. I hope.
When it comes to DC shit, you're like the Charlie of this fucking podcast.
I hope I hope that trailer does a justice.
Tucking the dick of like anything that's like potentially DC and possibly good.
Really good looking. Like shockingly good looking.
Well, I didn't end up seeing it because was it you or Tobias that was trying to show it to me and it kept crashing?
They took it down. Yeah,
all right, so I still haven't seen the trailer, and I just assume that it's just as good as all your other DC garbage.
What's your favorite from the movies?
So I was getting there. Thanks for letting me finish, Kanye. But I would say that my favorite Superman is, I hate to be cliche, but it's obviously BVS.
Okay, let's move on.
No, just kidding. Oh man, if it was opposite day. So obviously Christopher Reeve, Superman number one, is number one, and Superman 2. I'm with Higgins. I love Superman 2, and it was like critically, I think, panned, and Ivan would probably, get his jollies off in knowing that I loved it, and it was Rotten Tomatoes probably hated it. I don't know. In fact, you probably love that fact too. I don't actually know what it got on Rotten Tomatoes. Anyway, love Superman number 2 as well. In general, it's kind of weird. As much as I like Superman, I don't like a lot of what he's in. I don't know how to explain it, but like movies wise, like I did not like the Brandon Routh version, even though I thought that he looked the part and was cast incredibly well. Kevin Spacey's an amazing actor, and I thought that Bryan Singer really. I know that you don't like Bryan Singer, but like I thought that he did his best and did a very admirable attempt. I just didn't like the end product, and
the movie just didn't come together.
It didn't come together, and I have gone on ad nauseum for the Man of Steel stuff. Why I didn't like that, and BVS is just a fucking like hot pile of trash.
So Indie Gator asks,
wait, is that everything though?
We got a series of Marvel questions here.
Wait, movie wise, there's this Christopher Reeve.
You're fine. That's all of them. Let's move on. We got some questions here. Let's move on to Indie Gator.
Okay, Indie Gator.
He says, and we talked a little bit about this, but he says predictions on how Secret Empire ends and transitions into Marvel Rebirth, Marvel Legacy.
How fucking dare you? What am I talking to Brock here?
He said Marvel, not Rebirth.
Fuck you, Craig.
I think, again, we talked about this whole Vanishing Point. I think that they're going to, not time travel, but I think there's going to be some sort of like leftover remnants from Secret Empire, or from Secret Wars that sort of come back and I don't know if it's going to rewrite everything, but I mean, they're saying that generation stuff is not What If, it's not time travel, like it's legit. So I don't know. I really don't have a prediction other than obviously Marvel's teasing this.
Do you have the graphic up?
No.
Alex Ross. That's a cue for you to fucking pull it up. You have a computer. Okay. Can you do it in like 10 seconds?
Sure.
Or less?
Sure.
Why are you doing it on your phone? You could do it on your computer
My
much
computer's
faster.
slow.
Fucking,
What am I doing?
Same could be said about my co-host. Anyway, looking up the graphic of generations, because what I'm trying to get at, if it suits my argument, is that I don't think that it's time travel. I think that there's a plausible way.
Yeah, they said it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
if I was listening. Okay, so
we don't know. That's what I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is that there's a plausible way for them to get all of these people back. I mean, that's why I wanted you to look up the graphic. Like, okay, if we go through the list, Hulk, gamma radiation has known to give him healing factor of some capacity. He heals from the bullet in the brain.
From left side is Jean Grey.
Okay, so Jean Grey, Phoenix, self-explanatory.
Right.
She comes back from the dead.
Wolverine.
He's encased in adamantium. He's got a healing factor. I don't know how it was ever said that he was even dead. He's literally like encased in adamantium. Why would he not be alive within the adamantium shell? I mean, I think that we've got to have already talked about this in the podcast. Like, they didn't kill him. They encased him in adamantium. And with all the shit that can cut through adamantium, I don't know how they haven't had to fucking, like, get him out of there yet, but, they haven't. So, anyway, that's Wolverine.
Thor. Yeah, I mean, just gets the hammer.
Oh, so he just gets his hammer back, and isn't that story like in mid progress? I've seen at the end of the Mighty Thor, I've seen a bunch of like covers from the coming months. Like, isn't he going to be more prominent? Which means he's probably going to get the hammer back because of comics.
Cap's. I mean, he comes back from the Vanishing Point or whatever. Nova's I mean, he's been back for a while.
Nova's been back. Yeah.
I mean, we'll skip Captain Marvel for right now.
Okay. Good thing, because I couldn't have said anything.
Spider-Man and Miles are normal. Hawkeye.
Yeah, they're normal.
Hawkeye just gets out of jail.
Yeah, Hawkeye. Yeah, exactly.
Iron Man, he's not dead, so he just wakes up from his coma.
Yeah, he's in a coma. He just wakes up. Exactly.
Yeah, Hulk again. Whatever. Hulk can come back.
Gamma healing factor.
Captain Marvel is kind of the one. Like, what are you gonna do? You bring in Marvel back? Like, that seems weird.
Yeah, but out of that whole list, they're only really bringing one person back from the dead.
Yeah. If they
and that's fine with me. Like, if out of 10 quote unquote dead, or not, I mean, not that any of these people are quote unquote dead, but like, out of all these people, they're all like out of the picture. Yeah. Like, to only have to bring 1 out of 10 back from the dead and bring the entire line of Marvel comics back into
Hulk
like
is dead,
normality.
Wolverine is dead, and Marvel is dead, and all the rest are not dead. They're just but Hulk being dead and Wolverine being dead is the stupidest, most nonsensical.
Exactly. You're talking about 2 people with healing factors. Like,
right.
Okay, so I don't remember how and when or why Marvel died.
I mean, he died from cancer back in the Captain Marvel. Jim Starlin. He died 40 years ago.
I believe you. I just didn't read it.
Zach asks.
Wait, that was it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's fine.
There you go.
Zach asks, how bad is Secret Empire selling compared to the other Marvel events? Do people in the retailer forum share your experience? Well, I don't want to talk for them, but many of them have said that, the sales are not great. Although many are, for me and for most retailers, it is still our highest selling Marvel book by a huge amount. Compared to other Marvel events, it's pretty much at the bottom. We're selling about the same as we were selling the last issue of
#things Higgins says about every Marvel event.
Original Sin. No, I mean, even at the end of Civil War 2 was selling more than we were selling Secret Empire. I mean, we were selling 2 times as many when it comes to the end of Secret Wars.
Wait, say it again?
We were selling like twice as many copies at the end of Secret Wars as we're currently selling of Secret Empire. Secret Empire
so that is in line with what I was going to say, which is that like Secret Wars was fucking line wide. I don't get the even though there's tie-ins to a bunch of other extraneous books, I don't get the sense at all that Secret Empire is like line wide.
Next month you're gonna have like 40 Secret Empire crossovers.
Yeah, but like. Secret Wars literally touched the whole universe, whereas I feel that Secret Empire is touching like the Cap books and by approximation,
it's going into everything in the next couple issues.
But like, why would it touch the X books or the Spider-Man books at all?
Because that's what Marvel events do. So Original
Fuck
Sin,
you, Marvel.
Original Sin
said Higgins and not Bryce.
Original Sin crossed over into a few. Fear itself crossed into a few. These events that didn't do great. It's like, why did these cross over? I don't know.
Exactly. Fear itself never should have touched the X books. No reason to. And that's probably why you see a trend. Like, if the books don't, intersect with the X universe, why would they?
Yeah.
The answer is money. Then it fails. and then you gloat, and then I feel bad, but I don't feel bad because Marvel's better.
Comic Boom says, do you think it's a PR mistake for Marvel to increase the page count and price for Secret Empire 6? So Marvel's just like, fuck it. I mean, the book's already out. We're just going to do whatever we can. They've added issues. They've added page count. They delayed an issue of Secret Empire, which means I don't have to buy everyone beer when the last issue comes out.
Fuck!
Hooray!
I'll buy my own beer.
Secret Empire 6 is being pushed back a week from what we've heard. They did it. They can't get through an event without a delay. 1 week delay isn't too bad, but it's a delay.
Wow.
That's what I said.
1 week of one issue.
If every book ships on time...
I know.
That was a stipulation, because I can't do it.
You missed your calling as a douchebag lawyer.
I know. So Secret Empire 6, I mean, whatever. You're already...
Not to be confused with Good Lawyers, Blake.
People are already paying $5 an issue. It's just going to continue, and yeah, all those Generation books are $5, and every new number one's $5. $5 is coming real soon, guys. You better hold on.
$5. I wish my comics were only $5. I've been buying X-Men number ones for the past several launches where they're like $6 or $7.
Keith says the Black Panther teaser was incredible. I know Priest's run on Black Panther is considered definitive. Have any of you read it?
No. What?
You missed this while I was in the bathroom, but yes, his run is incredible. I kind of already answered this. It is by far the best Black Panther comic ever.
I agree with both those things you just said.
Yes.
But I disagree with definitive.
It is absolutely the definitive run of Black Panther.
Because it is the only good version of Black Panther.
Sure,
you might call it definitive, but I would argue that there has not yet been a definitive Black Panther. And just because that was a great run and a great story, I think that there's more out there. I think that there can be a definitive. I mean,
to this date, the definitive runs of Black Panther are any appearance in Fantastic Four and his Silver Age appearances.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's fucking
the Priest books.
Yeah, there's no good cohesive run except for the Priest books.
Right.
Because you can't even count the Fantastic Four
well, that's what I mean.
Guest appearances.
I mean, his early stuff in FF.
I guess.
In Avengers.
I guess you're right. Like, it's definitive because it's the only good run.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean, it is the basis for the movie.
I just think that there hasn't been enough exploration of the subject matter for there to qualify for a definitive run. I mean, I guess that
characters have been around for like 50 years. I don't know, like,
yeah, but there's nothing.
Every character has at least one issue or one appearance or one run that is their definitive run to date. And so far, that is the Priest run of Black Panther. No question asked. Every other ongoing comic has been mediocre to terrible.
That's what I'm saying, is that I'm going to think of a good example when I'm driving home after this podcast. But the closest thing, only because we were just talking about it, is the Wonder Woman run. I think that there's not a definitive Wonder Woman run other than the Azarella run. And you probably disagree because you're so much closer to Wonder Woman, figuratively speaking.
Okay, Bryce, you can help me pronounce the word because I could never pronounce this word. Ochlocrat? 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 Even when the book was coming out, even when he published the book, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Ochlocrat. Sounds right to me. Norman asks, was Ochlocrat your creation, meaning me, or the previous owners?
Confirmed.
Now, here's the thing.
Ochlocrat.
The original owner of the store, Doug. There was two guys who owned the store when the Comics Conspiracy first opened.
It can't be.
Doug, one of the two owners, had a line of comics called Comics Conspiracy Publishing. He published a number of comics under his own line, and they were.
Can I just announce my dude crush on Norman for using such a fucking $5 word?
Well, that was the title of the comic, so that was Doug.
Oh.
One of the comics he created was.
Well, then I rescind 50% of my love.
So you can find these conspiracy comics floating out there. Doug unfortunately passed away a number of years ago, very young. But yeah, he created all these independent comics, and while the quality, nothing against him and the people involved in the books, because he had a bunch of artists that did stuff. The quality of the books is pretty mediocre, but he wanted to try to publish his own comics, and he did. He published a bunch of one-shots. He published a couple short run series. He did some work for he worked for a few independent comic companies. He did like some kind of Vampirella like parody thing, and so God published a lot more than I ever have or ever will. So no, I have no connection. To the best of my knowledge, his daughter is the only one that would be involved in any of that at this point. The rest of his family, I don't think has any involvement in any of this. As far as I know, it's all been abandoned. I know of none of this. But if you see something called Comics Conspiracy on a comic book, that was the original owner of the store. And last one from Jason. He says, my 14-year-old daughter is just getting into graphic novels. What is the one must-read I should get her? Is Sandman too soon? I would say Sandman's too soon. I mean, I read it. Well, I don't know. I read it when I was 14. I should have read it when I was a little bit younger. So maybe not. I mean, I loved it, but...
Well, make sure you've taken her to see the Wonder Woman movie first.
Yeah. Local dad, what do you think about your 14-year-old daughter reading Sandman?
So, I've only read volume 1 of Sandman. And it's tough because, like...
Remember, Super Goth Ryan loved it when he was 14.
So that's kind of the thing.
So your daughter comes home one day. She's wearing all black. She's got like a Marilyn Manson, I don't even know who it would be now. Who would it be? Not even My Chemical Romance. That's still too old. Who would be the goth band in like 8 years?
It's probably like... I
don't know.
What is it? One Direction is the boy band. It's probably like Second Direction.
Who would be the fake
Second
goth
Direction
band in 8 years?
Yeah, probably
she comes home with dyed black hair, a little Ankh tattoo under her eyeball that she drew on with a black eyeliner. She's like, Dad, I know you like those stupid superhero comic books, but I read this comic book called Sandman. It changed my life.
I'd be like, baby.
It's kind of gross. That's your daughter.
Don't... Well,
the look on your face.
Yeah, I mean, is it? I'm not saying baby.
The way you said it sounded wrong.
No, what the fuck? I'm not saying it in a detracted way. What the fuck? No, I'm saying like baby as in she's my baby girl. Like,
sure.
Fuck you. Now I've lost all train of thought as if I ever had one. But the whole idea is that, all right, look, sweetheart. Well, okay, so it's also difficult because I can't imagine... I imagine Higgins' parents being, like, very... I don't know what the fuck is going on. Because I don't understand parenting, and I'm a parent, but I have to imagine that parents play some role in when their kids become goths. Because, like, you know, Higgins has turned out to be the most vanilla conservative while still being liberal.
Conservative?
Dude, you fucking complain about like gum and like too hot movie theaters. Like you're the worst. You're the worst. I don't mean conservative politically, because you
could be an old man and you know woke at the same time. So
I know that you didn't just say yoked because
I said woke.
What does that mean?
Oh, you're not woke.
Oh my God, I hate you. But I love you. So, regardless of whatever the fuck it is you're saying, you are extremely conservative socially, however not politically. In that, like, you complain about fucking movie theaters, and you complain about kids and breeders like me, and you complain about, like, so much fucking shit that is just, like, crazy. And I have to imagine that your parents, like, puppet mastered this whole thing in some capacity where they paid enough attention to you that you turned out as well as you did, but they didn't pay enough attention to you that you like fucking at some point that I didn't even know you started wearing a bunch of black and decided that was going to be your whole life. So I mean, I could, if you want to get into this, I can tell you the definitive way this went down. Yes, please.
Because I know.
Can you please?
Yeah.
I still have an answer, but I would like to hear the behind the music.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's literally what it is. It's the music. So when I was growing up, my dad listened to a lot of classic rock, but we grew up in Massachusetts. He also listened to a lot of the CBGB bands. So the Ramones, Blondie, Talking Heads, a lot of the 70s.
For those of us that don't know, CBGB.
It's a club in New York. Or it used to be a club in New York.
Okay.
So a lot of these bands in the 70s, that's where they performed. And they were kind of the American foundation of what would become New Wave. A lot of these bands were in that similar. Depeche Mode, The Cure, a lot of those bands started.
So your dad was like you.
I mean, he liked a lot of classic rock. He played bass and everything like that. So, but
you do.
He did like a lot of those bands. Talking Heads is one of my favorite bands as like an 8-year-old kid. Like that's not normal, right? That's
not normal at all.
No. So when I was growing up, early 90s, I mean, I was into like Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots and all that stuff, like every other teenager at the time.
Blasphemer.
But I remember like I was like at a crossroads where I was like, I'm not really into the stuff that's on the radio anymore. I love all the 80s stuff that I grew up listening to because of my dad and because just how the age I was. But I had a bunch of friends that were into like metal and like thrash metal and like real hard stuff. And I listened to a little bit of it, but I didn't really get into it. So when I kind of like was like, which way musically do I want to go? Because I wasn't really listening to the radio anymore, like 94-ish or so. So I started to I listened to like some college radio stuff, and then I would just go listen to more of the 80s stuff like Cure and Depeche Mode, and that led to all the goth stuff. And that's, I mean, it was a bit between college radio and the 80s stuff, which dovetails into the goth bands that kind of gets deeper into that stuff. So that is the direct lineage was the stuff my dad listened to. He would listen to, Bob Seger and Styx and all that stuff, which I like to this day as well. But it was also those Ramones, Talking Heads, Blondie, that stuff was the direct path to me liking this music. And stuff like Sandman came at the exact time that I was getting into this music. So it all like, hey, he looks like Robert Smith and I like Robert Smith. It all was perfect. Like this perfect little hurricane of goth Ryan at the right age.
Dude, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Do you know how much more Patreon you probably could have gotten to share that story? That's fucking awesome, dude.
That's my story. I mean, that's
how you fucking never shared that.
That's how I interpret my life. I don't know if that's actually like the way it went down, but that's like how my brain puts this stuff in context. That's how I remember it.
I haven't loved another man so much since well, it's got to have been at least a day or two. Dude, that's fucking awesome.
So that's the question. But your 14-year-old daughter comes home and wants to read Sandman. Are you okay with that? Do you care? There's nudity, there's swearing, there's violence, but it's
Hold on.
It's gaming. It's mature.
I'm still processing all this. The question is, does my daughter get to hear Sandman spoken to her by Neil Gaiman's voice? Because that man can and has talked the pants off me. I don't know. So a bunch of this is just me being. Frankly, at the end of it, like just a new dad. I would say, am I okay with it?
Like, at what point do you just say you're old enough to make your own decisions?
So I think that question is only ever suited for people that are already past that.
Yeah.
Like Craig could probably answer for kids my age, but he probably couldn't answer for kids his age.
Yeah. Because I know when I was 14. Everything I read was stuff I shouldn't have been reading when I was 14.
Exactly. No,
right?
and yeah, exactly. And
my favorite movies were all rated R, right? I was getting into all this very alternative stuff for the time. Today, because of the internet, because of just social media, people are exposed to stuff so much earlier than we were. So I don't know if that's changed or if people are trying to pull back more. I don't know. I'm not a parent, so I have no clue.
Yeah, what did I just see? Where they just wanted the kid to be innocent for a little longer. What the fuck?
Like, I think if you're like 10 or 11, you're not going to understand Sandman. 14, I feel like if they're reading, if they're getting into literature and music and movies and watching stuff that isn't just dumb shit on the internet, then yeah, Sandman is an awesome book for them for a person of that age. But that's kind of parent choice at that point.
I think that it was parenthood. So after Gilmore Girls. And I'm sorry for those of you listening that I'm talking about Gilmore Girls again. But we watched, after my wife and I watched Gilmore Girls, which is, by the way, a great couple show to watch if you give a fuck. We watched the revival, is that the word? The new episodes, and it was fucking hot trash.
Leanne said it was good, you're dumb.
I've talked to Leanne about it, and she wasn't as aggressive as that, but she has bad taste, so I forgive her and by extension you. But that Lauren Graham just has the worst plastic surgery in between the show and the revival, and we're like, what the fuck happened? And so we watched Parenthood, which was literally the 7 years in between, because she went from playing Lorelai Gilmore in Gilmore Girls to playing Lorelai Gilmore in Parenthood, which lasted for 6 or 7 seasons, and it was basically the same show, fucking eye-rolling Lorelai Gilmore bullshit. Anyway, the point is that I think that it was Parenthood, and I think that it was the autistic son Max. I'm sorry for those of you that haven't don't know what I'm talking about, but they just want to protect their kid, even though, also to Higgins' point, like, I mean, I agree, like, I probably would have loved, I didn't read Sandman, I still haven't read past volume 1 as an adult, but like, I probably would have loved it when I was 14 years old. If I had read it, I probably would have got it. I probably would have fucking like absolutely wanted to read more, because that's what you're just curious and you're a sponge for all things when you're that age. And but as the adult, like, in the other hand, I don't want my kid being exposed to that. And there's an age old, I have to believe, argument about like wanting to protect your kid, but wanting them to still be worldly, and your kid just wants to be worldly and exposed to everything, and you just don't think it's appropriate, but they're fine with it, and ultimately they probably would be fucking fine with it, but you just don't want them to even know about it. And
like Leanne's, so my nephew-in-law, I guess, Leanne's nephew is 10. I think it was like 9.5. I think he's almost 10, and he's reading a shitload of comics, and this kid's absorbing everything. And he came in the other day, and you know, he picks up comics from me all the time. And
did he come in and say, "Fuck you, Higgins"? And you said, "You're 10."
He comes in and he's looking at a few books. And
by the way, you know it's a bad joke when Higgins goes and then continues the story.
I don't get it. He picked up a bunch of the Denny O'Neil Question comics, and he's like, "Yeah, I love this character. I read one of these other trades," and I'm like, what are you getting out of this book when you're 10 years old? Like, this is a pretty heavy title. He was asking about Watchmen, and I'm like, couple of years, you'll get a lot more out of this. I mean, if your parents don't care, Watchmen's got some pretty severe stuff in it. But, you know, the Question isn't that bad. But I'm like, what's a 10-year-old get out of the Question? But, I mean, if you're a smart 10-year-old, maybe you're getting a lot out of it. I don't know. It's tough because it's, you know, when you kind of hit like 16, it's like, yeah, whatever, you're fine the rest of your life. But that like 8 to 15-year-old time, like you just change so dramatically.
Right. I'm fucking terrified for when my kids get to be 10, thereabouts, because I will fucking absolutely lose them.
They're conscious.
And
they're aware. They have memory. They understand what's going on.
Yeah. And that's not even to talk about the whole, like, them walking in on me and Kelly. Like,
whoa, hey now.
I mean,
perfect transition to our random picks of the week, because we have to fulfill our Patreon backers request for random pick of the week.
Wouldn't think of anything else.
Bryce, do you have to answer your question, Sandman's a perfectly fine example. I'll talk about Sandman more in a second. Do you have a pick?
Did we put a bow on that?
I mean, he wanted to recommend it. I think Sandman is a perfect book for someone of that age, assuming you are okay with it as a parent.
So again, I've only read volume 1, but I agree. You just have to think about how you were when you were that age, and I cannot help but think, whenever I'm in this circumstance, like, I would hate it if my 14-year-old son or daughter read that shit. But at the same time, when I was 14, like, nothing like made me more excited than reading this like adult material, and that's what like develops you as a child, right? Like, as long as you're getting the right direction from your parents in general.
Again, I've
let
said
him
this
go
before.
for it.
I saw Terminator 2 in the theater. I would have been 12 or 13. I saw, Alien and Predator and every horror, monster movie, horror movie, action movie,
Okay, Higgins is a crazy example. Don't listen to this.
I saw all this stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah, but this is like, you're a crazy outlier. Listen to you.
Am I? Did you
maybe
not watch any of that stuff when you were a kid?
Okay.
I was watching like Ninja
2
Scroll
years
when I
younger
was
than
16.
you.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I saw a bunch of that. I watched all that as a kid, but not in theater. Like, you're going crazy.
No, I didn't see all those in the theater. I saw like Terminator 2 I saw in the theater. I would have been way too young in Terminator 1. But
I remember my parents came home and said that it was way too scary for me because people's faces melt off.
Yeah.
And then I saw it like
it was amazing.
A couple months later, and it was fucking, I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. That's not crazy.
So what's your random pick of the week, Bryce? You got a random pick? Old, new, could be anything.
My random pick of the week, has Nick Fury been canceled yet?
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, not officially, but
okay.
Great art. Can't say much for the story, but
great art. My very random pick of the week is Cable the Mighty Thor, Old Man Logan, X-Men Blue and Gold, Not Jean Grey, and
how about something old?
Nick Fury.
An old classic book you like?
Okay, so I will keep this brief. The Avengers books have been very meh.
This is not a random... No, one,
Okay.
One random pick.
One random pick?
One comic that you want to recommend.
I cannot... I'm looking at your whole wall over and over again.
How about old?
Oh, old?
Comic. New, old, could be anything. Trade, doesn't matter. But don't look at the new wall.
Okay.
Think old.
You want to...
I can give you my pick real quick. Because we just talked about it.
Please do.
And I honestly, I don't think I ever actually officially chose this back in the day. I could be wrong.
You're probably
when we were doing our picks more regularly.
I guarantee you're lying.
But, we were just talking about it. Look, if you have not read Sandman, you need to correct one of the biggest mistakes in your comic reading career. I'll only talk about Volume 1 here. Sandman, Preludes to Nocturnes, written by Neil Gaiman, is one of the most influential comics of all time. I'll give everyone the warning I give everyone. I'll give you the warning I give everyone with Sandman. Volume 1 is slightly different than the rest of the series. It was when Sandman was a little more connected to the actual DC universe, so Neil Gaiman had not been kind of given the free will to do whatever he wants on the series. If you like Volume 1, you will probably love the remainder of the series. If you don't like Volume 1, I still suggest you continue and read at least one more volume, because the book does change, I don't want to say dramatically, but it is different as it goes on. It becomes what Sandman is known for. Like a lot of books where they're finding their footing with the first, think of a pilot for a TV show. The pilots don't always accurately represent every episode later. Shows tend to grow. Sandman is one of those cases where the book, it's not the best at the beginning. It's, maybe arguably the worst at the beginning, but worst is a very subjective term. It's obviously a fantastic title still. But the book grows leaps and bounds every volume the entire way through and really is... I think the most important one of the most, if not the most important comics ever published. But Prelude to Nocturnes Volume 1, it gets my always in the store, my 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like it, bring it back. I'll trade you for something else because it is that good and it is that important. So if you have not read Sandman and you're listening to this podcast, give it a try, even if you don't think it's quite your thing. Even if you're just like, I just like Spider-Man. Like, try Sandman. Open your mind a little bit. Give it a shot. See what you think. It's very different. Give it a shot. I hope you like it.
Okay, not to throw a whole bunch of fucking shade on Higgins' choice, let me just temper your expectations, which might be wildly out of this world after that
what is your random pick, Bryce?
Rendition of dick tugging that Higgins just gave Preludes to Nocturnes. I will say before I give my random pick that Sandman Volume 1 is good. It is good, and you should read it. I agree with that sentiment. I just want to temper everyone's expectations. If you're like, holy fucking shit, Higgins has never been such a good salesperson as he was just now, I'm going to go and buy the whole Absolute editions 1 through 5 or whatever it is.
What would you like to sell our people on with your random pick of the week, Bryce?
So my random pick is going to be a lesser well-known French thing that I have mentioned previously, but possibly a lot of people haven't heard me talk about it yet, and that is Snowpiercer. Since this is a random pick and not a what is the best thing on the shelf, which is obviously a Marvel book, the random pick for this week is Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer is at least Volume 1 is collected very beautifully in a hardback edition, although I'm not sure it's much longer than 2 issues of any standard comic. It's a French story about these people trapped on a train where the people in the front of the train are the well-to-dos and the back of the train are the not well-to-dos, and this train is traveling around the world in a post-apocalyptic time period where the world has gone the world's environment has gone tits up, hashtag global warming, hashtag climate change, and there's a rail track that covers the globe. It goes around the world, and this train that can go through heavy drifts of snow is traveling around the world infinitely during the post-apocalyptic time frame. and all of humanity remaining lives on this train. And it is the story of a young person at the back of the train that wants to overthrow the caste society that has been placed upon them in the back of the train, and head towards the front of the train, and they encounter all types of perils leading towards the front of the train until they end up towards the front of the train. And I will not spoil what happens as they go forward in the train. I will just say that the movie, which is where I get most of my love, in fact, almost all of my love for this story, comes from. The movie is infinitely better than the actual comic, but the comic is still enjoyable. Go check out the comic. It is called, again, Snowpiercer. It is originally available in French, but if you can get through it, and they have dubbed whatever it's called for comics, translated versions. But if you can handle Chris Evans being... and that's right, I said Chris Evans, not Chris Pine. There are more than one 6 foot tall, good looking Caucasian Chris's in Hollywood, if you can believe that. Go watch this movie. Chris Evans does a better job than he does. And by the way, I fucking loved Winter Soldier, which I think is widely agreed upon and appreciated. And I also loved Civil War, which is not widely agreed upon. But and I also did not like the first Avenger, which I also think is not widely agreed upon, because I think that most people think that that's one of the best. So anyway, go see Chris Evans in Snowpiercer. Highly recommended movie. My old lady liked it, so you can watch it with your old lady. Or if you're a lady, your old man. Great thing to watch, and the story's a fun one to read. The movie is much better than the graphic novel, but they are both very enjoyable. That is my random pick.
And that's an episode, guys. Thank you very much for your pick, Bryce. Thank you, everyone, for listening for the last 2 hours and change. It's not a Bryce podcast if it's under 2 hours.
Unless you're fucking talking about a DC movie.
There you go. We have to thank our good friends on Patreon. Let's do that. Julian Titus, that's the Nerds Without Pants podcast at pixelbit.com. Ryan Hess has the Preach podcast at soundcloud.com/Preach podcast. Something about SoundCloud. I can never say that word properly. SoundCloud.
Well, it's your obvious lisp.
It is. It doesn't roll off the tongue very well. Jody Larsen has Canon, the Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicstudios.com. We also thank our good friends Manoa Place, Sam Che, Talon Bray, Craig Anderson, and Joe Duff. Thank you guys all very, very much. And everyone that donates to us at patreon.com/comicconspiracy. Comicspiracypodcast.com is where you can find all our previous episodes, as well as geekbox.net, and on iTunes. Leave us some reviews as well. We always appreciate that. Long form questions can go to thecomicconspiracy at geekbox.net, or that contact form at geekbox.net. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can buy all your digital comics from us. Go to spiritofbrock.com. That's Brock's blog and video pull list. Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. That is Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. As well as etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife Leanne's Etsy store. You can buy some art from her there. You can find us on Twitter. I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce is Larsen Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. The store is ComicsCon Store. Check out Geekbox Comedy Button, Good Job Brain, I'll Talk Podcast, Manga Machinations. And do not forget that Comics Conspiracy is moving at the end of July. We're going to move July 26th, that Wednesday. We'll be closed for a few days. We'll be reopening at our brand new location on El Camino in beautiful downtown Sunnyvale. Just a few short minutes from our current location the following Wednesday, August 2nd. We do have a GoFundMe set up to help cover some cost. We are a little short on our loan. If you want to go find that, of course, go to GoFundMe, search for Comics Conspiracy.
All excess funds go to buying Marvel comics, don't worry.
Literally everything but Marvel and DC will be bought with any excess funds. So lots of independent and any excess funds will go right back into the comic industry. Nothing is going to our pockets. This is all store or stock for independent and alternative press and kids comics. We have a lot of stuff to restock before the move as well. And any excess funds from past construction is going to go to stock. So thank you guys very much, and have a good E3 if you're doing that. If you're watching that stuff, you'll catch me and Ryan Scott on the Geekbox tomorrow night. We're going to talk about the Nintendo press conference and everything else. And we'll catch you guys next week.